Good evening, everyone. Switch Double here. And yeah, usually don't stream on Saturday and Sundays. I was a bit bored today, and I was like, why not do a stream just to see if any of my friends will join in or not? Game Guy is unfortunately is unavailable since he has other plans for today, and I know for a fact that Kovas probably could join in. Malachite, maybe. So I mean, I'll even put the link there. So if anyone else want to join in the stream, anyone is welcome join in. As long as you remember, just don't be, well, disrespectful. That's much. And, well, my cold is getting, well, slowly fading away. So it's getting better for day by day. Today I have a lot more energy actually. The war actually won. Um, I actually got a comment yesterday about crossover stories. That are you going to bring back them? Um, yes and no to some extent, of course. There were some questions that this individual asked me. I did mention I won't be able to do crossovers between, say, anime with some MLP series or some other characters. It had to be in certain explanation how to those worlds interacted. Like, say, how to explain humans from a normal world, no magic, how they end up in Equestria. Like, unlike the build as some scientific portal, some open a portal between dimensions, and one of them happens to be uh, Equestria. Um, that might be tricky. But there were actually, a couple of years ago, there was actually one idea that I had in mind, um, where I thought of Line Guard along with Equestria, the pony versions. That the Equestria characters, like the main six, end up in the Pride lines, because in that sense it works, because in Equestria magic is a common thing. So they will end up being magically transported to Pride lines, but they can't go back because they may not have the same type of magic as. And yeah, so in Starlight, Glimmer, Pinky, True Love Story, can you do Starlight and Twilight cousins? You know what? I mean, it's possible I could probably do that. Um, what else? Actually, there were actually one story. This individual asked me if I could do um, two characters from Spy Kids, and I have seen basically all the movies. This individual asked me if I could do Joni Cortez with Demetra. Well, the thing is, in the movie Demetra in Spy Kids 3, she's just a program, not an actual person. So how would it make any sense to make a love story based on an AI and a human? It's not like that they can be physically interacted, like holding hands or kissing anything. But then it hit me. I can definitely do that. But I have a slight different idea in mind. But exactly what? Well, that's a top secret. I just don't know for a fact when that story also will be made. It just I haven't really thought much about that since having this cold, it just took a lot of energy and well, a lot of my energy, and I barely had nothing to do. Even though I know it's supposed to be streaming, since to the fact my videos are not taking a break. But I did say that I would might do some work on stories if I had energy for that, and which I haven't so far. And I also said something like I would be taking a break also from streaming. But I thought, since I'm a little bit better now, I felt like why not do a stream or two just to be get my bored mind off things. Because for the most of the past few days, now that I was been sick with this freaking cold, I was just watching YouTube, take a lot of naps. But I mean, after all, sleep is one of the best things to take when you do have a sick, a cold or a flu. But in overall, I was bored. And even though I was supposed to take a break from streaming, but then in the end, why not? I mean, even if for a fact many people thinking are um well strange. Did you know Has-Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss are crossing over? Like, I mean, the Hell of a Boss characters are going to show up in Has-Been Hotel. Yeah, yeah, Robert, I did know that. I actually saw that video where Charlie Morningstar talking and Blitz happened appearing in the same thing. But the thing is about Havable Boss. Havable Boss, it was only supposed to be in for next. Uh, I think it was only was supposed to be in 4 seasons total. After 4 seasons, it was going to be complete over. But I'm not surprised of that if the Visipop, the creator of all, is decide to create more seasons. Here's the thing. Based on the fact that the new updated video that they've made is that the new seasons of Help a Boss is going to be broadcasted first uh, on some streaming service first, then later get uploaded on YouTube. So if you don't have access to that streaming service or even or something, just be waiting for the moment, and then it will be uploaded on YouTube. And Has-Been Hotel, well, about that show was, even though it was only for about like 8 or 9 episodes, it was pretty awesome series. But the thing is, Has-Been Hotel was supposed to be released earlier. I mean, think about it. The first season was only released only about a year ago. But the first pilot episode was released back in 2019. So, like, the first pilot episode of Has-Been Hotel, 2019 was a pilot episode released, but the first season wasn't released until like last year. And you may think, okay, now the first season is over. Are we expecting the second season this year? I don't think so. Normally, a show will be released within the next coming year. Well, since um, the series was supposed to be released a bit earlier, but there were some issues or some unknown, something like that. But from what I understand, season 2 of Has-Been Hotel may not actually happen in 2025, maybe as soon as maybe as 2026 or even 2027. Because from what I understand, it may take 2 years for next season to be up. Or if that is even correct, though. Considering that this series isn't even made for a younger audience, which makes perfect sense with all the violence, the curse words, and all. And yeah, it is one of the Mrs. Stranges. Even after Hazbin Hotel's second season was announced that's gonna be made, now it's not even two, not three, but four seasons have been announced gonna be part of Hazbin Hotel. But the small problem is the second season hasn't even been made yet. Or it may actually be in development right now, but it hasn't even been released yet. So exactly when should we be expecting the second season of Hazbin Hotel? Well, I don't think it's not as soon as probably as soon as the next year at least. I mean, you may think, okay, at least we have something to look forward to if you're a fan of Hazbin Hotel. I mean, think about it. The first season, the first episode that was released in 2019 was unexpected because I wasn't even aware of that. And I just came across that by a random chance, and after be watching it, ever since that pilot episode, it sparked countless of fan art, many speculations, theories, who uh, who that she were in her past life on Earth, which now turns out that she wasn't actually from Earth from originally. Well, had that she turns out to be an angel, but yeah, so but Hazbin Hotel itself is a very interesting show. But there was only one downfall, not a downfall, but a downside of it. When I first heard about this series, or when I first saw the pilot episode, and I saw this first episode of the first season of Hazbin Hotel, it wasn't even the same voice actors from the pilot episode and the first seasons. No, from the first season. It was not even the same voice actors. And there was slight changes into the designs of all. But one of my favorite characters from Hazbin Hotel, other from of course one Charlie for her dedication. The other ones had to be uh, may not be surprised, but not even Husk, not Angel Dust, not Alistair. It had to be Vachi because she is so dedicated herself to helping to prove that Charlie's dream, that angels or that sinners can be redeemed. And here's might not be a small detail about uh, that many fans or that may not even know of. That everyone that dies in have a boss or in that universe and they end up in hell, they only end up in one place. And even though that the place that they are in is just a part of a big city, but they only encountered in one place, unable to move to any of the other parts of the pentagram city. They're only confined in that place. They can't even reprocreate, like they can't even have a child of them together. And another small thing is that they can't even die. Well, I mean, die from age or illness in hell. But there was one small detail when I saw when during the season one of Hazbin Hotel. During one of those uh, massacre or extermination day, Vashti was about to kill a young sinner, looked to be a kid. And that got me thinking, how the heck could a kid end up in hell? It makes no sense in that. But some people may actually theorize that wasn't even a kid or even a teenager, may actually be an adult, but who has been, well, um, commit themselves to that type of crimes that is directed towards just children. It can be anything, though. It can be that he could have murdered a child or assaulted one. I don't even know. But it is crazy How would Twilight react if she had to watch Starlight and Pinky's kids? But the kids are like multiple Pinkie Pies with a bit of Starlight's DNA. Boy, uh, um, good question. If there's just like one or two or three kids, yeah, then she might actually be trying to handle. But if there's more, 10, boy, yeah, she may actually lose her mind. But I don't. But it's not guaranteed the same as the Robert that even if they have a few kids, it's not guaranteed that they will even be crazy as Pinky. They may actually be complete opposite. They may actually be like more like Starlight, but who knows? So yeah, it's just gonna how that's gonna be. But for Hasbin Hotel series, um, I don't know for fact if excuse here, Hell of a Boss. This is the reason here. Hell of a Boss and um, Hell of a Boss originally, Hell of a Boss and Hasbin Hotel wasn't even going to be crossover. Digipop had it first in mind. This crossover was not even intended to happen, but eventually it changed recently. And I am surprised because even if they may not actually interacted with each other much in this actual series, and yeah, it's just crazy how many fans will speculate about this. Do you think Adam will be Has-Been Hotel season 2 as a demon? No. When he died in season 1, that is permanent death. He is not returning back. Because when he was killed, he was already an angel, not a human. So when he died, he is not coming back, which has confirmed. But all surprising that even though that many fans have speculated who would be the first to be, would it be any redemption of any other one of the uh, residents at hotel? Well, turns out Sir Plancius was the one that first came to be redeemed. But that got me thinking, what about the others, like say, Alistair or Husk? Now that might be tricky. If you don't, may not have seen the first season, or may have seen it but may forgot much detail, is that Husk, when he came to hell, he was just a normal sinner. Eventually, he rose to power as an overlord, and eventually lost his overlord's power and status to in a game of cards to Alistair, and he sold his soul to Alistair. And as Alistair showed that he has some sort of it looks like it may not actually be it's not visible scene, but in one scene about that when this Mimsy character shows up causing problem, when every time when she does happen to appear, Alistair always helps her. But Husk knows that every time she is around, there's always some problems in behind. And he was right. But that is not the problem. Even when Husk was talking to the Alistair in the hallway, he was getting so frustrated. Alistair, and he was shown something a visible chain, and the chain was wrapped around Husk's throat, around his neck, He sold his soul to Alistair, which means that he belongs to Alistair. So let's see for this. If Alistair or if Husk would have been next one to be redeemed, how would that even work if his soul is already tied to Alistair? Or as Angel Dust, he sold his soul to Valentino, the pimp. So is it possible that neither Angel Dust and Husk can't even be redeemed as long as they're tied to the one that own their souls? And it's possible they may not be able to directly to be redeemed, even if they put so much effort in redeeming themselves. But due to the fact that they are somehow this magical bond, a binding ownership of their soul, can Husk and Angel Dust be redeemed? Personally, I don't think so. As long as they owned by Valentino and Hans Alistair, I don't think so. And some other characters, like say, what about Charlie? Could she be redeemed? Well, technically, she wasn't even a sinner in the first place. She is hellborn. So, yeah, so she is actually not as much uh, in much in that. So it was a little bit tricky, but nifty. Don't think so because beyond. She is beyond saving. And holy shit, saving the sun. Huh? That's the new. Uh, that's unexpected. Cinema Sun, your next story you asked me to do um, about the Pinky and your OC. Yeah, I was, I was hesitating at first to even do it. Um, since it was based on the comic series, um, I hadn't even made the story yet, but I'm planning to do it. It just before I did it, I just want to make sure that this um, that Pinky's chaos chaos form wasn't part of multiple comics numbers. There's only one, and I hadn't even read that until a couple of weeks ago. So now I know at least uh, a bit more, and so I have prepared a picture for the story, and but there was actually just one thing. Came up with a story part of the idea that allowing Pinky to have these powers, because in a comic, Discord drained all that magic back from her. It's kind of the same thing when she absorbed his magic from the Grugor's bell. But I had in mind that uh, Discord allowed Pinky to keep a fraction of his chaos magic in order to, well, use that for advantage to create parties and all. And and she even creates her own dimension, like Chaosville, but complete separate. That's all I can say for that. Since I really haven't thought much about in more in details when I said that. But it's going to be interesting to see that will be turn out, since it has been a lot of ideas, a lot of them. Even though are some curious to see, but even when the well, if that doesn't work, I got something more interesting. What if Pinkie Pie I'm dating is not Pinkie Pie, and it's a reflection Pinkie Pie from the too many Pinkie Pies? I don't want to force you. Hmm. You know, you know, that can be a separate story. I mean, considering how many ideas I've been asked for almost past 10 years, and don't even ask how many people ask me since I have no idea. um, but I believe it's all the questions that I've been asked separately and include the stories I've done. Um, Considering I have 726, 28 stories right now on my channel, plus the 80 plus stores that has already been made. I guess maybe at least a few hundred, but that is not even a fraction of it. In my email alone, I have close to 2,000 ideas. Yeah, you heard me right. Nearly 2,000 stories in my email alone. All of them is as my girlfriend found, and yeah, and it has not only that. Like um, Derpy Powell also has like there was one page. It's still there. It's just called shippings, but it used to have exact number of pages. It was over 200,000. That's like what, and I don't even think that it's not even close to that anymore. It might even be, I don't know, almost maybe could be, I don't know, 250,000 or maybe it's the double. Who even knows? And I was like, okay, that's a number of shippings I can probably do. But when I went through some of the shippings, some of them didn't make sense. Like some people did shipping, say Twilight with a book. Okay, how that makes sense? How could you even fall in love with a book, and if you marry, how could that book even, I don't know, respond to you? And especially if you don't have adopting a child, and they invited Twilight and the supposed adoptive father to school meetings. Yeah, that is a quite a bit. It's so weird. And if you may remember the episode Rarity with Tom the Boulder, same thing. That has also been shipped. I was like, how can anyone even be shipped an inanimate object? It makes no sense. I mean, a big boulder. What's next? Pinky with a cupcake? That kind of reminds me of the Applejack with that apple tree Bloomberg. Yeah, that is another shipping that they have also been upped. But there are also some even more questionable, like Sweetie Belle with Miss Shirley, Sweetie Belle with Big Mac, even that had even been Apple Blue with Applejack, siblings as a two shipping stories like that. Okay, people had their king systems like that, but still, it's not normally that most people like makes no sense. But why would anyone want to add a character like who would like siblings? Well, to be honest, technically, I kind of did a love story based on Kion and Kiara, but I made it in a different plot part. Is that it was taking place in Ultimate Universe. And they weren't even siblings in that story. They're from two lion packs. So they weren't even related in that story. And another thing about Lion King, originally, Scar was originally supposed to be uh, Kuvo's father, but that would also would have been given the wrong idea to the audience. Because since Kuvo and Kiara end up falling in love, and that they will end up being cousins. So it's and Cody's here. Oh, hello, Cody. Uh, let's see. It would have been interesting because remember we saw. I forgot the episode Pinkie Pie was being introduced, and you see behind her the reflection Pinkie Pie mirror to many Pinkie Pies. Yeah, in a sense, yeah. I hadn't even actually seen much of those episodes in a quite a long time. But it's one other thing I'm really surprised. If you think about it, G4, back in 2017, they made a movie. And even before then, after that, they made, um, they made uh, Road Trip, um, Rainbow Road Trip, and even the Best Gift Ever, as a spin like that. And when G5 came, of course, they made the first movie. But ever since then, there were no other particular as movies as afterwards. And I was like really surprised. Like when G5 just ended without a surprise, without a word. Because I was looking forward to that next special story. Like if you remember the first one, um, Blocky Walkie or what it's called, and there was supposed to be the second one sometime in August. And when it happened, August came and went. Especially that day when it was supposed to be uploaded. I waited, nothing. So I waited another day, waited, nothing. And after about just a few days, so I went to MLPG5 Wikia to see if there was any further update about the why the second special wasn't even uploaded yet. Well, it turns out there was some issue, some unknown reason, and that happened. That later, as my friend Cody Lane, he was one who informed me that that episode special money issues is usually the one of the main cause. Cody, it is. Um, but he mentioned that that special episode had been was cancelled or it was put on hold for a while. And after a while later, I went back to MLPG 5 Wikia. I usually go there to just do some reading about some of the characters, or they even had made comics based from the G5 ever since then, from the start to the end. But then suddenly I noticed there was supposed to be four special episodes made during that season, but the second one, the third one, and the fourth all gone. Like the pages only said MLP Telltale Special 1, 2, 2, 3, and 4. Those names were suddenly gone. Like, just gone. Without a trace. I started like, what happened? So I waited for another maybe a week or two because every single week they were uploading a short, like those 5 minute stories episodes. But after about like 1 or 2 weeks, there were no further updates, no further release of episodes. So I went back to the same page, to the same wiki, but still nothing. The whole thing wasn't even updated. There were no further episodes. I was like, why? And there was no any explanation to that. And as far as I can tell, I have no idea if Hasbro haven't even given an official explanation. I don't know. But it is crazy because considering that considering how G5 ended like that. First was making Mark. Okay, I understand if that happened, but at least they continued the series even though that was only for 5 minutes. May think like this. Okay, what about the next episode that's going to be released? Well, well, I found it. Somehow, I was able to find the second special MLPG Fire story that's going to be released. But unfortunately, and since that one, among others, was cancelled, they were removed from Hasbro. They weren't even officially uploaded on YouTube. But I found it. Somehow, I found the second special episode on YouTube, and it's 21 minutes long. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. They actually uploaded? Or at least someone uploaded. Someone actually saw this episode and uploaded on their channel. And this is not uncommon these days. That I mean, people can upload some videos from one side. Oh, bye, Cody. Can upload it from one side and suddenly just upload it in a different site. And I'm just saying from this. But when I looked at it, it was not the things. There was also things that was a bit strange about it. The only thing was so strange because the only detail that I noticed it was even this particular episode wasn't even 100% complete. So it turns out that episode wasn't even finished. And how is that even possible? So it was just somehow someone actually came across, found it, and uploaded an incomplete, or at least a finished, a pretty much almost finished episode on YouTube. And the same channel has uploaded other topics, other those 5 minute videos that's supposed to be taking place after that. I was like, okay, this might be interesting. But the only small thing about that, those videos, they were never even complete. They were not even in colors or anything. But some of those episodes include that the rest of the main six going so far to travel to meet sea ponies. Another thing, time travel. There was one episode that was supposed to be including time travel. I was like, whoa, time travel in G5. The latest we have about time travel was back in G4, especially the first one where the first time travel in G4 and was when Twilight's past traveled by accident, only could travel a few hours on a short time backwards before I automatically go back. Second, well, the second one was when Starlight tried to change history. Yeah, it's okay to code it. Understanding. So yeah, and so the third is so well alleged. So it's gonna be the word supposed to be in if Telltale had continued, it would have been a third time travel episode within G5. But exactly what's gonna be about that, I don't know. I never saw much of that particular video, and but there are so many other ideas. I mean, the main six traveled and then even met. Were supposed to be going to see the sea ponies, but as in the first episode when Izzy met Destiny, a sea pony, it's not really clear if she is a hippogriff or even an actual sea pony. That's the thing, because it was never explained in much in detail, or at least confirmed that it was a sea pony or even a hippogriff. But considering the latest more additional things that G5 was meant to explore new areas of Equestria that was never been focused on. Like it Polderville was never mentioned by name. Even though in the first movie when we can see this old map of Polderville's name, Camelot and all, but that's the only small thing about it. What happens? It's that's just it. Even if that this series had put continued, there would have been a lot more adventures. To see how the main six traveling at sea on a ship, like a sailing ship, in a storm, which is going to be supposed to be part of this episode, though. But there was one other small thing I did should mention. It is that how many of that episodes we saw included one individual, Alora. When Alora was mentioned, when she first appeared in Make Your Mark, and then later in Telltale, we saw that when she was talking about her twin brother, Altero, he was mentioned, and he was even briefly seen when he was young as a cub, and she, how he and Alora were playing, and how she found this Noah charm and end up in Starlight Ridge, but but she couldn't go back home. And I was like, wait, that is just crazy. But now that we had it is on the things like some part of the backstory, how she ended up being there. But I can also say this is that this Noah charm, it broke into pieces and was gave the old amusement park much new life. But Allura, she discovered something about them because when she observed one of the pieces up close, she discovered a smaller piece within the bigger one, also containing magic. But what that's about, I have no answer because that was never explained. But the thing is, Allura was actually not even hiding when she was at the amusement park, hiding around from others. She walked around in open. Ponies saw her, but they didn't do anything because she didn't do anything to them. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, the only reason that Allura, she lived in this cave on the beach with Twitch, but she preferred not to be interacted with anyone. Not even that they made sex or any other ponies other than from Twitch. But why would she end up in that amusement park, walking around, complete open? Well, it turns out that Twitch, even though he is her minion, he seems to have a fascination for the amusement park rides, like the roller coasters and all. So, and he begged and begged and begged to go there, even though she was first refused. She completely refused, and well, eventually she cracked and agreed. She went there with him. And there was even there when she encountered the main six. And this is not even, I don't remember. I don't remember if this is even part of the actual episode or if it's one of those supposed video stories that's going to be uploaded. But considering how many, considering how many of those episodes are supposed to be uploaded. And I was like, it is just so weird. Hasbro never even gave them an explanation. And even to this day, even if you go to MLP G5 Wikis page looking for any explanation, you might actually never find any. That's the problem. And if you go to some forums, that's another thing. I don't know. I have no idea what's happened. And I have no further explanation to exactly why that happened. Many fans may actually speculated, was it maybe that because of the money reasons, or was it because of lack of, or was the viewers was dropping? The viewers, I seriously drop. I doubt it. Considering the Make Your Mark series was really successful. It has so many positive views from fans out there. From the beginning, there was many hesitation that the G5 is going to even be remotely as good as G4. But to most of us surprising, the fact that even though it was in the CGI style, it was pretty good. Taking a whole new generation, centuries in the future, and it worked. And I was puzzled. I was puzzled at how this good series of Honor Blue gone. Pull the plug. I don't understand why. Hasbro never even get much out an explanation to why they just ended G5. Many started to speculate, perhaps might have speculated that, okay, now G5 is over. It's going to be G6. Well, that would have been way too soon. Well, Steven Universe, they did end the series, at least the first one, quite, but that one, the first one did last for at least a few seasons, and the spin-off they made of where taking place shortly after the movie, it makes sense. At least the movie filled the gap that led up to the new season, or the new series. But Will it be another one? Uh, I wouldn't say no for sure. I mean, Steven, when he left his home, he may actually never come back because he went off to travel the world. And from what I understand, he may actually had no intention to going back there. But then what about Connie? Well, Connie was actually going to uh, that that she may actually would eventually meet up with Steven at some point. Some say that creator plans to make a possible revival. Well, that's the thing about the Cody. You never know for a fact of how revival of a series can be good, it could be bad, or it could be in between. I mean, there's always that, or it could be that um, they either like reboot the whole series from start, from the very first series, how we, how was it, and all everything that was gone. Um, if they made that as a live action, I would be curious to see at least that will be turns. Some of the curious on like um, for like live actions of certain series and like that. It's not like some of them could be that bad, but it depends on of course on making Steven Universe as a live action. That's actually curious. But if they wanted to reboot the whole thing from start, even though they're the same creator, just want to reboot, I'm like, no. I think the reboot is absolutely the wrong way to do. I mean, it's like say they will reboot Pokemon series from the very original to near the end, and what if they decide to, if they wanted to reboot Star Wars? I mean, what if they reboot Star Wars series from Episode 1 to 9? Because if that happened, I mean, if don't if Disney wanted to someday get the idea to reboot the whole Star Wars franchise, I was I would not be happy, considering that not many will be. The reboot of DuckTales, if you're referring to that 2017, I may have to disagree on that one. The 2017 version was not, in my opinion, not worth it. They ruined it. There was not even a complete. They changed a lot in it. I mean, they include somehow uh, Baloo's old friend, the one who's his psychic, uh, Kick or Kid, how his name was, uh, even Goofy, and include Della, Donald's twin sister. Okay, that is, I don't know, okay, that was done something new. But changing Libby not to be Mr. Beakley's granddaughter, but in fact be uh, Scrooge clone, aka daughter. And that was a whole plot twist that I never expected. And another thing is, those other two clones, May and June, they were not even made from Scrooge, but they were made from April, aka Webby's DNA. So it was in this way. June and May is actually Webby's daughters, if you think from that. But even though that is not it, uh, Gizmodak, his design in the reboot looked very similar to this from the old one, so I can't deny on that part. But including Darkwing Duck as an actor, not an actual hero, okay, now that was a bad one. That was a bad mistake. And don't don't even get me started on the Beagle brothers. That is, or the Beagle boys. They looked horrible. They didn't even look any remotely as much as yeah, that's and I think that there was this one episode that where they were Scrooge and Webby went to find the berries that will give this bouncing ability. Okay, you may never know this, but that bouncing powder the mentioned when they were in this when he bought this page that was one part of the great book as though these creatures gave the alchemists of Dunwyn this potion of bouncing. That is a reference to Disney's Gummy Bears. But but the DuckTales reboot, in my opinion, was not even that good. It was completely not even my opinion as much as remotely. I never saw the whole series from start to the end. I saw only a few episodes a period. And when they included not only Della, but Scrooge's parents. Okay, they were never actually mentioned much in the original series, but included both of them in the new version? That is, I can say from one thing. 2017 DuckTales, it's not even part of the continuity at all. Because why? Well, in the comics, uh, Scrooge's parents passed away in Scotland. They passed away. But in the reboot, they were pretty much still alive and practically immortal, since for some reason Scrooge put this curse or this spell on the family castle that can make them immortal. And I think that is, yeah, it's just crazy. So, in my opinion, DuckTales 2017 reboot, not good. It was just a lot of confusion. And I know for a fact that many series that had given a reboot, but I was quite surprised that David Tennant, the one who voice acted for Scrooge McDuck, he were one of the actors who played the 10th and the 14th Doctor in Doctor Who. But I'm surprised of how this series even was. I mean, it wasn't even like received so much bad comments or anything. It's just yeah, it was Mr. Strange. And the fact that Della, she was on the moon the whole time. And there was an alien species living there, and they want to conquer Earth. And then and they had so much gold. Oh, like, that's just so weird. So weird. I mean, if Scrooge had found out about so much gold on the moon, wouldn't he just send a mining equipment there? Probably. But yeah, it's just it is so weird. It's so just so weird, serious, and all that. But how many anyone it's like, okay, this I don't think this even count as a reboot, but Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the live action movie they made about kind of been 2 3 years ago. I think it was around that time. That is a lot of weird because one, the humans in the series they couldn't even understand none of the Rescue Rangers speech at all, except for maybe a few people that could, but mainly they weren't. They never actually interacted with much of the humanity, only in hiding. But in the new series, there was actually not even they were actually only part of an old TV show. And that Gadget, after she left the show with Zipper, she married Zipper at one point and even had over 40 plus kids with him. I was like, what? And still counting. I was like, and another thing is, Zipper could talk normally. And I was like, okay, I give up. Oh man, there are so many reboots. But if they want to be doing Star Wars reboots, an example, oh boy, I can see this right now. Many loyal fans, even from the older generations, including the new one, no one will not be happy. Even the fact is that the Disney Plus actually released a new Star Wars series on Disney Plus called Tales of the Underworld. And it's about two characters, mainly focused on two characters. Asajj Ventress and Cad Bane. I wanted to see that series today, but when I went to on Disney Plus on my TV and like, do I have to log in? So I did that, and I need the password, but I don't have it. So that's just a bummer. So I thought, hey, maybe I can just look it online. Nope. What a bummer. So yeah, that's just gonna be. So yeah, that's gonna be quite of a surprise when it's. I mean, Tales of the Underworld is interesting series. So I read about it on Wikipedia. It's just that Star Wars Visions is going to also be released sometime this year, but I don't know exactly when. Only part of this year, some point. Hey. Yep, that has been calm day. A revival of some talk about the revival of the Steven Universe. Hmm. Well, personally, I think they shouldn't even do that. Revival of one series is usually not even that good. I mean, I can give you one example. They tried to revive iCarly, but for more mature audience. But let's say it didn't even last long. And in the last episode, in the off screen, apparently Carly's and Spencer's mother showed up. Even though I never heard her face, never saw her or anything. I was like, what the? I thought she was dead or something. Considering that the only her brother was her legal guardian until her, since her dad was on a in the service in the military. So it makes no sense. They never mention their mother or anything, but iCarly revival series. Well, that is yeah, it was a bit bad. I didn't see much. I only looked part of it, but it looked just weird. There were a lot more swears, a lot more uh, not even kid friendly terms or anything. It just another small detail that I which made the whole thing a lot worse. Sam Puckett was not even part of the show. I mean, she were the backbone of the whole hilarious comedy. Why was she in the series? Well, I think it was, if I remember, the actress she they didn't want to do much of that anymore. So turns out that they made up a background, a backstory on how to explain why she is present. It's because she was out traveling around the country with a biker gang. Not a criminal gang or anything, it's just more like just a normal biker gang, I guess. And that is not a thing. It's just, I mean, it's crazy. I don't understand why they even wanted to revive that. What's next? Revival of, I don't know, Fairy Odd Parents from the start, like a reboot. If that were happened, I think it would be a lot worse. Because you know they tried to make a live action of it, but that failed. And then there's another one that's supposed to be where uh, Cosmo and Wanda retired and choose to living in disguise as humans on Earth in a whole different city. And their son Poof has a new name. And I was like, what the? This is just so freaking weird. But in any case, I really don't understand why. Okay, the first seasons of the Fairy Odd Parents was at least funnier, but as I continue the series, well, it didn't make sense. Same thing with SpongeBob. The first seasons was actually funnier, but the later the ones that are going on, well, it wasn't even that. They were just not the same. I don't understand why though. Considering how many considering how many of the series has been out there. And I mean, reboot of some very popular series or revival is one thing, but don't reboot something that was already good or revival something that was also good. Like iCarly. iCarly was so good, but when they ended it, it was a it's a punch in the gut for people, especially fans. But now, I don't know. It's just how strange most of the things are. But considering how many of the series out there has been giving a reboot or revival, it's just how much of that it is. Well, how to say, but it's just it's crazy. I may understand that some companies or productions want to revive some old good series and all. Okay, I mean, it's basically almost the same as uh, Disney's remakes of their classical movies. That is just something like that. But now it's just no. It is really considering how many other movies out there is just some of the most well. It's like especially making a slasher movie of some of the most iconic characters like Winnie the Pooh. But now, turns out that even Mary Poppins is gonna be a slasher movie. Yeah, people, it is true. The same company that's making Winnie the Pooh, Peter Pan, and others is making that. It's making a horror movie based on Mary Poppins, including Sleeping Beauty and a few others. I was like, this is insane. Not only that the Bambi is going to be released soon, Pinocchio is also sometime this year, and also Pooh, Poohverse Monsters Symbols also. Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Alice in Wonderland, Tigger's Return also is going to be apparently it's its own movie, and Mary Poppins. When I said this to Malachi, he was like, "Hell no! Why the heck would anyone make a horror movie based on Mary Poppins? It makes no sense. It just and it seems maybe this is gonna be the well oh heck no. Um Instead for Mary Poppins that is a nanny that is supposed to be helping families in need. But in this apparently in this like this slasher horror movie of Mary Poppins, she's gonna be described as or depicted as well it's described to be a kidnapper. I was like, what the this is beyond any reasonable mind. I mean, who in God's name can even keep up with this idea? I mean, Mary Poppins would have been around for so many years, brought so much laughter to many generations so far, and the same company that's making the Twisted Childhood universe is planning on making a horror movie based on Mary Poppins, Tigger's Return, um, Alice in Wonderland. Well, in this version of Alice, is pursued by obsessed Mad Hatter because her work as an escort for an agency named White Rabbit. It's just, and even as Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. I mean, can anyone even imagine making Mary Poppins into a slasher movie where she's a kidnapper? Yeah, that is apparently it's going to happen because it says just so wrong. But Disney can't do anything about it since, well, apparently they can't even do that, and it's just so wrong, so So absolute wrong. It's I don't understand why anyone even considered what are the purpose of doing that. Sure, one of the so making a do focus on a new brand of movies that might actually be considered as a horror movie or anything, but still, but it's beyond what I had in mind. Even though I never saw the original, well, at least the first or the second Mary Poppins, at least I'm aware of who her character is, who her personality is like, what she's trying to do, but portraying her as a bad guy, a kidnapper, who wouldn't even say if she's psychopathic, sociopath, psychopathic killer. And what's next? Making the DuckTales as a horror movie. Now that is supposed to be wrong. I mean, Mary Poppins has been part of many generations' favorite. Now it's a horror movie. Yeah, it's just absolute wrong. I don't understand why though, but as it is, if there are people out there who just very much like to be watching and waiting for this type of movies, well, I don't know, but all I can say is I am not looking forward. I am not looking forward to that movie at all. And why? Well, I seen Winnie the Pooh, the sequel, and that's it. Never saw the first, so only saw the second movie, and I'm not even planning to see the third or any of the other movies, including Bambi that is going to be released within the next 2 months or so. That is one of the worst. I mean, Disney has its own version of a live action of Bambi, which is on within a few some time soon. It's not have been revealed exactly when Disney's Bambi is going to be released, but this company that made their own version of Bambi is a slasher movie. What the? It just ruins the whole franchise, ruins the character. People can see Bambi as a sweet, kind, brave, but as a psychopathic killer, mutated monster. Yeah, that's just so weird. And I don't really expect it much. I just don't. But yes, it is. Knowing for a fact how many of the movies that Disney have made, some actually has been made as a live action by mainly not by Disney but other companies around the world. Like there were even at one point a mini series of Pinocchio as a live action from Italy. But making Pinocchio, Bambi, and even in this case Mary Poppins as a horror movie, yeah, that is just the absolute wrong way to do. I mean, considering how many fans has been loyal to Disney's classicals, sure, we're not making a whole thing about it. I mean, they made Winnie the Pooh as a horror movie for the past few years, only for the past 2, 3 years now. Now they're the third in the development. And when I read yesterday, Mary Poppins is gonna be a horror movie, and I was like, no freaking way. This can't be real. I could go on from this talking about the horror movies that's gonna be based on classical Disney movies. Mary Poppins, of all people. Yep, it's gonna be a slasher, and she's gonna be a kidnapper in that movie. I won't be surprised if she's gonna be a complete psychopath in that either. Also, that is just absolute worst. I'm not trying to convince people to not be watching those. I'm just saying, man, I only mentioned it's gonna be a horror movie based on Mary Poppins, among others. It is not, in my opinion, worth to be watching. But if you want to watch it, it's up to you. People, all you people want to watch those movies. If you've seen the Winnie the Pooh movies, horror movie ones, and you like them, and you want to see what the rest of the company can produce, well, I mean, it's your world, it's your mind. Anyways, I think it was probably that I want to. I could go on for this for much longer, but I think I probably end stream here anyways. So yeah, that's just as it is. Well, everyone, this has been fun. So until next week, this is Rich Dablo signing off. Bye.